people show up and say what's important to them by their feet. How they spend their time says, this is important to me. You know, so for Kevin to create time to be here to kick off, and he's going to be back tomorrow, says this is important to me. You know, when you have senior people like John and like Caesar, you know, blocking, I'm sure the stuff they could be doing, and when you talk about a senior vice president level, you know, to clear your calendars and say, you know what, this is important, so I'm going to be here. So you vote with your feet. And one thing Kevin said, and you echoed it too, Caesar, was the idea of giving people the kind of support they need to make sure that you have the tools, the resources, and the means to get your job done. What that looks like is this model, and it's the upside down triangle. What you see here is a right side triangle, which is the old military model, which is based on 3 premises. And this is what it looks like. The person at the top has the answers. The people at the bottom do the answers. But because I don't trust you, I'm going to create a whole level, or there's a whole level of middle managers and supervisors to make sure you do your job. That's the way it's been set up. That's the American business for many, many years. And that worked fine back in the day when the person at the top would give the directive, this is what we're going to do, pass it down, pass it down, pass it down. You had plenty of time. Time was what you had a lot of at that particular moment. You know as well as I do that the game has changed. All right, you don't have the luxury of time anymore. Like we said, inventing the parachute on the way down, thinking on your feet, the white water of change, those all kind of add up to that figure that we're all in a fast-paced cycle right now. So what happens is, to be most efficient, the organization is turned upside down, which means the person at the top is now at the bottom. And the people closest to the customer, and the fact is, we all have customers. We all have internal customers with each other. You know, who is your customer? Here's the question I always ask people. Who is your customer, and how do you know when they're happy? You know, I mean, Mike's got customers, supply chain's got customers, purchasing got customers, warehouse has customers, everyone's got customers. How do you know they're happy, you see? So the fact is the people close to the customer are the ones with the answers. And this person down here, in my mind, they have one job, which is to ask the question, how can I better support you? How can I better support you? When I work with managers, I tell them, I say, you know what? If you don't get anything else from these couple of days together, take this with you. Ask your people this one question. How can I better support you? And when they get over the shock that you even ask them, they will tell you what you could do to help them do their job better. And your job is to do what? To do it. To do it. And this whole level in the middle here, instead of middle managers and supervisors, they might have those titles, but their job really becomes more of team leaders and coaches. See, bringing out the best in your people. And so, and they say, guess what they ask these folks? What do you need from me? How can I better support you? What do you need from me? How can I better support you? See, so the answer used to be that the person who had, the person who had the most answers knew the most, right? Now it's not so much having the answers, it's having what? The ability to ask the right questions. You know, asking the right questions. So this is part of the paradigm shift. Utilities are notorious for not liking change. You know, I remember growing up in North Carolina, if you want to invest in utilities. You know, they're stable, they're predictable, they're not going to go anywhere, they're not going to have wide fluctuations. But see, well, guess what? So how can you take the best of being a stable utility, but also be somewhat nimble, to be responsive to the market, changing with the times, being able to work together to get the best results, which means turning it upside down, because now all of a sudden, you know, information comes in like this, it quickly goes down and quickly goes back up. But the fact is, sometimes the information comes down, it doesn't even go here anymore. The fact is, it's handled at this level right here. You know, because for the most part, the people at the top, up here and down here, their job is to provide air cover. Their job is to give you the resources that you need to get the job done. Their job is to get out of the way so you can do the job, not to micromanage you in such a way. See? So that's part of the shift that's going on. And you know what? People either get on it, or it's like Dave Baker said, you either get engaged and get on board with it, or you don't. But I guarantee, if you don't engage and get on with it, your career might be, shall we say, somewhat limited, because it ain't going to happen if you're not able to be a good team player and move ahead. You know, it's about partnership, about winning together, you know, and about getting the results with the least amount of effort. You know, it used to be, remember, it used to be if you wanted to get ahead, you had to work harder. Remember that? The early bird gets the worm, right? You know, that whole stuff. And then somewhere along the late 80s, it became, if you want to get ahead, you work what? Smarter, okay? So you network, you matrix, you use your resources. I guarantee in the 21st century, if you want to get better results, you work on purpose. You know, what is your purpose? What is your job description? What are you supposed to be doing? What are you responsible for? What are the results you're supposed to get? When are you working on purpose? That's what I tell people about mistakes. I say, you know what? Mistakes are okay as long as 3 things are present, right? Number 1 is, of course, you learn from mistakes. Fair enough? Number two is you share your mistakes with others. Because most of us play the CYA game, cover your assets, right? So you don't want to share your mistake. The third is you make your mistake on purpose. And, which sounds kind of funny, but what is your purpose? Are you working in pursuit of your purpose? How do you know you're doing your best work? Which means it's going to be very important that people have real clarity on their jobs, their expectations, clarity on their job descriptions, clarity on what, when they're doing their best work, what that looks like. See? So one of the things we'll be talking about tomorrow too is having common goals and objectives. I want to make sure we look at an org chart, who your counterpart is on either side of the fence, who do you go to for what do the next 6 months look like, what are the milestones, what are the deliverables. That's all tomorrow is focusing on Unit 1 and 2 outage. So useful information. See, this is you being part of the change. This is part of being on the frontier of kind of pushing it out there. And that's exciting in that respect. Is it a little more work? You bet. Will it pay off? You bet it will.